Hi, it's Sally-Shakti, your Star Priestess and Visionary Writing Guide, and welcome to Tarot and Astrology for Visionary Writers for this 8/8 Lionsgate in an 8-year, that's 2024. It's the 8th of the 8th. 2 + 2 + 4 = 8. We're on an 8/8/8 day. And there's a lot to say about this, and there's a lot that people are already saying about this. So I just want to share my perspective for what's coming through energetically, for me personally, and for us as a collective. 8/8, in some ways, we have the numerology of the eights. We have, and we also have the kind of arbitrary. I always think of the calendar dates as somewhat arbitrary because they've been imposed on us since mainly sort of Roman patriarchal times. Our land-based indigenous ancestors worked much more with the seasons of the cycles, the moons, and the stars. So this 8/8 Lionsgate, we have the beautiful, powerful activation of that numerology of the 8, which is related to abundance. It's also related to alchemy. I want to talk a lot more about the alchemical work that the 8s invite us into, especially through the lens of the tarot, the 8 cards in the tarot. And we also have what is significant in the cosmos at this time is the heliacal rising of our sun star Sirius. So Sirius is a huge star that is located around the constellation of Orion. We're beginning to see it rise in the sky just above, just around sunrise in the morning. So we have had some powerful activations of Sirius. Sirius is the sun behind our sun. It's our cosmic sun. It connects us to the infinite. And remember that 8 symbol is the infinity loop. One of the most powerful things that we can be invited into during this 8/8 portal is to remember our connection with the infinite, to remember and reconnect, reclaim our connection with all that is. And that is our responsibility as well as our right. It is a right that has been taken from us since we have been severed from the land for many, many multiple generations, and colonialism continues throughout the world today. It's our right to reclaim our sovereignty, but it's also our responsibility to root and ground that sacred sovereignty in right relationship with the whole of the web of life. When we can reconnect with the truth of our own divinity and infinity, we also become aware of our responsibility to, as intentional co-creators of this path, on this path of evolution, this web of life that we are always actively weaving. How can we take greater responsibility for the path that we're creating in our own lives and collectively through being more aligned and more aware with the infinity within us and all around us? That is a real powerful and deep invitation of this 8 numerology for me. It invites us into that infinity awareness. That infinity awareness is also, as many people are saying, related to abundance, because we have this, again, we collectively had been violently and forcefully separated from the infinite source of life force, energy, kundalini, that creative, regenerative life force that flows through us as through all things in the cosmos, beaming to us now more strongly from Sirius, the rising star, through our own galaxy and solar system. These intensive solar flares that we've been having. We're invited to remember and reclaim the infinite abundance of the wellspring of life, of life-giving, creative life force energy that drives us and all of creation, especially through this evolutionary time. This 8-8 activation, as we begin to see Sirius, the rising star, also reactivates the manifestations and intentions that we set during the Cancer new moon on the 5th of July, just earlier this year, because we had that Cancer new moon directly conjunct with Sirius. So at that time, Sirius was directly in alignment with our solar sun, and there was a mutual activation between Sirius and our sun. Now we have Sirius beginning to be visible again from its journey through the underworld, and we're beginning to be more receptive to the illumination from that infinite source of cosmic light, energy, life force that is always available to us and always moving through this world, this co-creation. It is the source of energy that drives all life in all galaxies and throughout the cosmos. We really are being invited to reconnect and reclaim our place in the web of life, our active participation as intentional co-creators of what we want to see going forward in our own lives and in this world. It's a powerful date for manifestation and setting those intentions, and for really stepping into alignment with those higher frequencies of ourselves that are calling us forward from the infinity of our future, from the infinite potential of our future. What is the new aligned frequency that is calling you forward to become a match for you where you are in this material reality right now, so that you can step into that higher frequency and become a more potent and powerful co-creator of this world, your life, through your intentional participation in activating and co-creating the web of life through your decisions, your choices, your manifestations, and your co-creations. We have a serious responsibility to take for the power that we hold as intentional cosmic co-creators. And that power is really strongly activating in us today as we allow it to flow through us as the life force energy Kundalini that it is, illuminating our bodies, our paths, our world, and the whole web of life. But what do we see on the other side of that? We see in the shadows. We're seeing in these last few days, especially whilst the moon has been moving through the sign of Scorpio in the underworld, we've seen a real rising up of the shadow side of what does it mean for us to healthily, ethically, responsibly reclaim our sacred sovereignty, reclaim our rightful connection to the infinite web of life, the infinite co-creative life force energy that is always driving us forward, always calling to us from our future potential, always asking us to align with those higher frequencies. That evolutionary impulse, that evolutionary pulse, that drive, that desire, I believe, is moving through the whole of the globe, the whole of the cosmos. It's there, it's present in all of us and in everything. When we have not done our shadow work, our alchemy, what we see is what it looks like when that shadow shows up. So these last few days with the moon in Scorpio, we have seen, especially on this land, on Bridget's Isles, and in many other places around the world, this has been a theme over many recent months and years, the rising resurgence of fascism and racist violence. when the shadow work, when the shadow is not healed, integrated, released, when people are living out their lives from a baseline of trauma and reactivity, we see this life-giving evolutionary impulse turning in on itself and becoming more violent and more destructive. As people are feeling this rising up of the impulse to reclaim a sense of sovereignty, a sense of sacred self-expression. This is what came through particularly strongly with our Leo new moon that we recently had just at the weekend. And my apologies, because the moon has not moved into Scorpio yet. The moon's been moving through Virgo. It's moving into Scorpio in the next few days. So it'll be interesting to see again what happens as the moon does move through the underworld of Scorpio. Because what we've been seeing is these shadows emerging. What it looks like when that evolutionary impulse to reclaim who we truly are, our sovereign sense of self, sacred self-expression, connection to the land, her rhythms, her impulses, not in any sense of ownership or xenophobia or fascism or keeping people out and nationalism. That the true impulse is to send our own roots down into the earth and draw up and drink up her nourishment, the infinite current of abundant life force energy that is there and always available to us all, that we have been violently separated from for many generations, and that we are now beginning to reclaim. But we do that in a healthy way through our own alchemical processes and practices that enable us to integrate, heal, and release the shadows of trauma, colonization, patriarchy. We're doing the decolonization work through our own bodies, in our own lives, and in the collective at large. When we are not doing that work, what we see is the shadows of fascism and racism rising up again, because that pure impulse becomes distorted through the lenses of trauma, reactivity, violence, and not being in alignment with the true life-giving impulse that is rising up and moving through us individually and collectively. And we are seeing that playing out. And I can't express to you how to respond to that, how to react to that. Each of us will have our own path, our own set of actions to take. But what I do want to speak about is the alchemy that this eight symbolism invites us into. Because when we see that sign of the 8, and we look at it especially through the lens of the tarot, and I want to acknowledge Lindsay Mack, who I've learned much from, and her perspectives on the tarot, teaching me that this 8 is an invitation into transformation. What she says about the 8s in the tarot are an 8-year numerologically. We go into it one way and we come out another. The 8s are always about complete transformation, that as we go through that alchemical process, we will never be the same again. And that is the work that 8s invite us into. And when I think of alchemy, I think of the shadow work. I think of that underworld. I think of the integration. I think of what it means for us as visionary writers and creatives to show up and meet ourselves on the page with our shadows, who we truly are, all of the full spectrum of who we are, who we have been, and who we are yet to be. It is powerful work to become the compassionate witness of our own shadows, our own ancestral stories, our own narratives and self-talk, self-beliefs, behaviors, those that have been acting out of trauma, colonialism, remnants of violence, racism, fascism. It's about that excavation work, doing the decolonization work in our own bodies, our own energy fields, seeing who we truly are, being the compassionate witness to ourselves and all that we have been, in order to create space and healing for all that we are here to become and all that we are yet to become, all that we are becoming. This is the work of the eights in the tarot. This is the work of the 8 numerologically. So we are currently in an 8 year throughout 2024. This is the alchemical transformation that we are being invited into, that we are witnessing playing out on our global stage and perhaps in our personal lives as well. And so, and it's the 8th house in tarot. It's that Scorpio card. It's the deep dive into the underworld that is essential on any ascension path in order to clear out the traumas, the wounding at the roots, to build a solid foundation for our intentional co-creation going forward. We've had 2 Capricorn full moons since we had that that Cancer new moon that was in conjunction with our soul star Sirius. Now we have Sirius beginning to rise in its illumination. Those 2 Capricorn full moons have been illuminating for us personally and collectively what are the structures that need to dissolve and be dismantled in order for us to fully reclaim, and by reclaim I mean realign with the infinite creative potential, the infinite creative life force and pulsing energy that is our true source of wealth and abundance, and that is always available to us when we are in alignment with the true life-giving energy that wants to create through us. And to do that, we keep doing the alchemy, we keep doing the deep dive, we keep doing the shadow work, we keep becoming the more and more compassionate witness to ourselves through our journaling and our practices, to see what's really there, to hold our fullness in our awareness, and to create space for the new higher vibrational frequencies that are ready to align and co-create through our lives and our visionary writing and creative practices here, now, on this earth. So I want to take a quick look at the 8s in the tarot and their significance. I've done a spread with them, which I'll talk us through briefly. So the presiding energy of this 888 day being card number 8 of the major arcana, strength. Strength is ruled by Leo. I know there are other tarot decks that have the Justice card as number 8. I resonate most with strength being card 8, ruled by Leo. And we get when we tap into our true strength, we get to connect with the infinity. In fact, that really is where our strength comes from. That is the source of our strength. That is the source of our power. Any other way is not the way. There is no foundation for it. It cannot stand, and it can only cause harm. But when we tap into our true source of strength and wisdom, which is the infinite life force energy that always wants to create with us and through us, there we find our true strength, wisdom, and abundance. We have the 4-8 cards, the 8 of Wands, Cups, Pentacles, and Swords. And I've put them out in a spread, which I'll talk through briefly now. So what's arising in this? So I do my spread. It's called the Soul Alchemy spread that I developed, and it works with the Wheel of the Year. So the cards are positioned according to the Wheel of the Year. So what is arising, or you could say the cycles of the moon? What is arising on this 8/8 Lionsgate day is the 8 of Pentacles. And you can see there, the 8 of Pentacles is about doing the work in the world. The 8 of Pentacles is about doing the work in this world that needs to be done. And I don't necessarily mean about having a day job. It could be that, but I mean, what is the alchemy that we are bringing into our real lives to make the transformation, to become the new version of ourselves that we are being called to embody? That is physical work that we do in the real world. What are the real life practices, processes, creative explorations, rituals, routines? What are our real life actions that we need to take that will realign our trajectory, our personal trajectory, so that we begin to create a new weave with our personal thread in the web of life? And we do that here in this world through our daily actions and activities. That is what is being illuminated for us in this powerful activation portal. What are the daily actions, rhythms, and routines? Maybe what changes do we need to make to our daily lives to align ourselves with more of who we are truly here to be and become? And then what is being illuminated through this activation portal? We have the 8 of Wands. That for me, the 8 of Wands is about working with our Kundalini. It's about aligning with that creative, evolutionary life force impulse that wants to co-create with us and through us, that wants to be embodied in our reality here and now through our actions, choices, decisions, and the patterns that we're co-creating as we weave our threads in the web of life. But it also, this illumination position in the spread also shows that full moon energy, and it can be an energy of tension, and it can be also showing us that there is this rising energy of a power struggle that, as I said, where the shadow work is not being done, where the shadows are not being met, and the shadows are playing out through that evolutionary impulse, there is the potential for force, violence, power struggle, and incendiary conflict. Where can we see that in ourselves and meet that in our journaling, and not just project it out onto what we're seeing in the news? Where can we actually also meet that in ourselves, witness it, allow it, acknowledge it, love it with compassion, and release it for healing? Because we can only, this alchemical 8 invitation is to do the alchemical deep dive, and we can only make the transformation in ourselves through our own bodies, energy fields, and behaviors. So where can we meet that shadow in ourselves that has been vying for power over others, instead of taking the responsibility for power for that co-creative manifestation? Meeting that shadow in ourselves through our journaling with compassion is the way that we do the alchemical transformation, and we help to heal that wound in the collective. So what is healing? The Eight of Swords. And I see in this card very much a mirror to ourselves. So we were just speaking about that in our journaling. The Eight of Swords shows us a mirror to ourselves. It shows us the narratives that have kept us entangled in our own misguided beliefs, even and especially where those have been violently imposed on us through generations and lifetimes. Because we are the generation that is here now to do the healing and the releasing work, to let go of these narratives. Storytelling, I'll speak about this so much, and I have spoken about it so much, but story is medicine. Narratives create the structure that we live by in our daily lives. And the old narratives are crumbling. And we support that process by seeing and releasing those old narratives in the ways that they've been showing up in ourselves. What have been our self-beliefs? What have been the stories that we've inherited and carried and told and perpetuated that are no longer serving us personally and collectively moving forward? Those narratives need to go. We need to recognize, this card invites us to recognize that those trappings and entanglements are stories, and they're ready to be released so that we can be free on the other side. And what is releasing? The Eight of Cups. So this is a real card of release. The Eight of Cups is about letting go of even where there can be grief that arises with the Eight of Cups, because we are stepping out of an old narrative, an old way of life, an old way of being. And that may require us to let go and leave behind of some of the things that we have loved and known. Finding the strength and the courage through this deep alchemical work and process to know that we are moving towards new horizons. We're moving towards this brighter sunrise as Sirius becomes the rising star, and more of this creative life force, energetic potential is ready and available to co-create through us. So by releasing what is no longer in alignment with the life-giving impulse, we bring ourselves into greater alignment with the energy that wants to move and co-create through us and with us as we evolve. And as an honorary 8, I include the presiding energy of the Magician. I think at this moment, the Magician is my most potent and favorite card to work with in the deck. We can see this 8 emerging. This is all of these cards that I've been showing you have been from the Light Seers Tarot by Chris Ann, my favorite deck currently that I work with. We see this 8 emerging, this infinity loop. We see it here as well. The Magician brings together all 4 elements. The Magician co-creates with all 4 elements, earth, air, fire, and water, which we've just seen represented in the 4 suits of the minor arcana through the tarot. The Magician co-creates with all 4 elements and spirit, that infinity symbol, to co-create with the web of life, with that co-creative impulse of life that wants to become manifest in this world. Magician is such a powerful card, and there's so much more that I want to really dive into and explore around this card. But the Magician, ruled by Mercury, which is currently retrograde in the sign of Virgo, but I want us to remember that Mercury doesn't just rule Gemini. Mercury rules the sign of Virgo. Virgo is the priestess. Virgo wants to co-create on this earth. Virgo is an earth sign. The Magician brings the magic of infinity into co-creation in this world, in the material world, through combining the 4 elements and calling in spirit to bring forth what has not yet been possible on this earth. Magician co-creates with spirit through the 4 physical elements to bring forward new possibilities and potentials aligned with that greater life force, current, and impulse. So we have 6 really potent and powerful cards to support us through this 888 portal. Yes, there's a lot of talk about manifestation and abundance, and those are part of what is possible for us during the opening of this portal. But remembering that all of the energies that we're bringing through must be rooted and grounded in the compost of that deep dive alchemical work that we're invited into, that asks us to integrate, heal, and release the traumas, the narratives, the shadows, the stories that we've been carrying and that we have ourselves been responsible for perpetuating, as we move into a higher timeline, a new trajectory, and a higher frequency, and we take greater responsibility for the power and potential that we hold as intentional co-creators of this earth, allowing that life force, creative impulse energy to rise up through our aligned channels and co-create with us and through us as we manifest the new earth together. Thank you so much for joining me today. I wish you much magic, alchemy, and abundance on this 888 portal. And I'm sending you lots of love.